Music matters. Belaganas. How you guys doing?
What's happening?
Good. Cheers. Thank you guys for doing this.
Cheers.
Hell yeah.
Cheers.
Should be a fun one.
Thank you for the drink.
Yeah, of course. The little ginger ale whiskey. I don't know what whiskey this is. Tullamore Dew? I guess that's what I'm drinking. I don't know.
Thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsors. Soon, bro. I always have wanted to be like one of those stereotypical podcasts that has like a drink sponsor, because I feel like it's just like a rite of passage.
Oh yeah. Then they just send you shit to have available.
Yeah, exactly. How have you guys been though? How was the show this weekend? I really wanted to pop out. I ended up going to the Timmy Skelly show because I promised him I would go, but I really wanted to come. How was it? It looked crazy.
Yeah, it was great. It was like a great pairing. We've known Garbage Barbie since like we were all in Phoenix together years ago.
Oh, sick. Okay.
So yeah, no, it was awesome.
Dude, the room was packed.
Good showing.
So like everyone there was just like really good looking, and
it was like prom themed, right? Everybody dressed up.
Everyone dressed the
That's
fuck
so
up.
sick.
We had like a photo booth, a bunch of photographers.
Sounded amazing. Shout out Dan Shapiro.
Yeah.
What's up?
We had our boy came and did sound for us last minute, and fucking everyone ripped. It was great.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Garbage Barbie, they're a band, right? I wasn't familiar with their stuff.
Yeah, they're like harder. I don't know how.
They make kind of like a new wave garage fusion.
Sick.
But their stage presence and like the crowds they're like they can draw are just like incredible.
Do they just have like a really big cult following?
Yeah.
I think out here, really great musicians, all of them too.
That's so sick.
Yeah, we've been wanting to play with them for a bit.
Is there like a big scene out in Arizona? So what part of Arizona are you guys from?
We're from. Well, I grew up in Mesa and I ended up in Phoenix. We all.
Yeah, just like the general Phoenix area.
Okay, sick. Was there like a huge scene out there? You said you met that band out there. Were there like a lot of artists you were kind of around and surrounded by when you're out there?
It's a huge artist scene.
Yeah, we definitely played with a few kind of different scenes also, I think, with our time there.
Yeah,
it was interesting. Yeah, we were like the indie scene, like the rap scene, like you were in the hardcore scene too. A little bit.
Metal and whatnot.
Like it all, everyone kind of like intertwined in some way.
Yeah.
It's very cool, but
I feel like those are the sickest like music scenes, dude, where like rappers are friends with like hardcore bands and like they're friends with like jazz people and shit. Just when it's like one collective unit. That is like the coolest thing to me. That's weird. I didn't even know there was like a big scene out there.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've actually met a lot of artists there. Like Pertinence was from there.
Yeah.
My friend Pariah Pete's from there.
dude, Pariah.
He was on this podcast like 3 years ago.
Was he really?
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, I think he's in LA right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Dude, I should hit him up. That's crazy.
Hit him
I feel
up.
like every Arizona artist I've interviewed, I've brought him up.
Yeah, he's everybody loves him, dude. He's the homie.
Yeah. I interviewed him in a garage that he was like staying at in Sacramento like 3 years ago when I was like 18 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I worked at a bar with him for like.
Really?
Yeah, I actually we were like bar backs together at the same time, and he's the homie, dude. We would talk about all like kinds of music shit while we were working together. We'd see him all the time.
We made some tracks together a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's Belaganas, Pariah Pete tracks.
There's
the odds.
Pertinence too. He's the homie.
And then there's Fear Making Out too, if you know them. They're super fire.
Cool.
Dude, we honestly like Injury Reserve we can thank for like, I felt like when we were in high school and shit, they were really putting like the house shows on and like doing all types of really cool shit within the scene and merging two different sides of like, or I don't know, just like weird like shoegaze shit with like whatever else.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was just everyone was just doing their own thing, and I don't know. That's kind of how the scene was in Arizona. I don't know how it is now. It seems like it's going crazy still, but
yeah, we kind of played a lot of shows with pop punk.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When we were first coming up.
Yeah.
Dude, that's interesting that you bring up Injury Reserve, because I was actually going to ask about them. Because, like, their formation, it's the same type of thing. It's like a producer and then two rappers.
Yeah.
So that's, like, really, really interesting to me. And they're, like, from that area. So I was going to ask if they were a big influence. Did they play, like, a big role in that scene?
Oh, yeah.
In the scene they did, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And especially when they, like, when they got to do their album, they got signed for that or whatever. Like it was just cool seeing them, like, I don't know, do features with like some of our favorite rappers and shit, and just like just doing cool shit, you know, like touring the world. Like, it definitely was like, oh shit, our favorite hometown hero kind of went off or whatever.
Yeah. Rip Groggs, bro.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Groggs.
Yeah.
No, I was curious about that because their formation is always what was so cool to me. It's like the producer and 2 rapper like group. I feel like that wasn't really a thing before. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm just not familiar with it. But that's so sick that they like inspired you guys to do that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I'd say the formation, as far as like a drummer and 2 rappers, kind of came around just by like, I don't know, that's just kind of how the cards fell. Nick was playing with us live before he officially joined the band, and I think it just took like 2 shows, and we were just like, yeah. It all just kind of clicked. And this is like, me and Joey had been rapping as Belaganas, I want to say just like a year prior, but it none of it was great. Yeah, and honestly, just, like, it wasn't great for like a couple years after that.
It took us a while to like figure shit out, but it definitely always made sense to like once it was the 3 of us on stage, it was like, oh, this feels locked in, you know. Like I don't know.
Yeah, the live show is always the biggest part.
Yeah, I feel like that's the power of live drums, bro. Like,
totally.
Like I feel like I've told like every musician who I know who's like wanted to start a band but doesn't have one. It's like if you can do anything, just get drums.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge part in the set. I think it's kind of, it's definitely, you know, why the live aspect is how, I don't know, we just started making music together and got to where we are now, you know. So.
Did you grow up like playing to like rap songs, or did you grow up? You said you grew up in hardcore bands. Like, what was your music taste like growing up?
I grew up on like classic rock first, and kind of just like all kinds of rock, heavier stuff, then metal, and then kind of like just getting into like the more intricate stuff. I started listening to Eminem and Tech Nine and stuff, and it got me into hip hop and So I've definitely been playing to hip hop for like a long time now already. Yeah,
that's so cool, dude.
Yeah,
I'm a drummer too, and I feel like playing to rap is one of the most fun and energetic things ever. And I don't know, outside of like covers and stuff on YouTube, like I feel like there aren't a lot of like rappers who play with live drums. Maybe I'm just not familiar with them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of different, I don't know, ways to do it. And I think that's what's fun about it is, I don't know. I think I'm in like a very we're all in really like cool places to be able to make all these different kinds of music together. Yeah. And like so it's fun that like none of us, I would say, you know, ever feel like we're kind of in a box creatively. We can each like we can have that wild or experimental side with what we do in hip hop and with other stuff. So I think that's one of my favorite things about being this band is like playing hip hop, you know, drums and stuff like that, and also getting to do other stuff.
Yeah, dude, we have so many like different types of fucking songs. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, I don't know, that kind of becomes a thing for us at some point, like especially when we are kind of just messing around like creatively, like we'll just pick some random shit we've never made before and be like, oh, what if we did this type of song? And then that's how it comes about.
Do songs usually start with like lyrics for you guys, or will they start with an instrumental, or like do you do all the production as well?
No, we all
Sick.
do.
Hell yeah.
Production.
Yeah, and then we also have he's 4th member of the band. He also lives with us. His name's Austin Parker Jones, the boy. He mixes and masters all our shit, but he also usually puts like the final polish on production.
Sick.
He plays with us live too. He'll play like guitar and run our tracks and stuff like that. So he's very much like a part of the band. But
he basically does everything except raps and sings.
That's so cool.
He's got a good voice.
He does have a good voice though.
But yeah, so all the songs, they kind of have their unique story, each of them. But like there's a cachet of just probably like hundreds at this point of unreleased songs that we've accumulated like through the years. And so just stoked to release some stuff. And that's also led to like a release schedule that can have a song that we made 2 months ago like come out right after a song that we made like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that's like, I think what we're releasing next has some cuts in it that are years old and some stuff that's only a few months old also.
Dude, I'm like obsessed with, and this goes for like bands and artists and like even like companies and like, because I'm just like, I'm very much a nerd about like the formation of like history. Like history is the coolest thing to me ever. And like we were talking about it before, but like the fact that you guys have been at it since like 2017 and like have songs from way back then is like the coolest shit ever. Like, do you ever go back in the archive and think like, holy shit, like how did we make this back then and we're making this now?
Yeah, honestly, like all we do like all we do is just like if we ever need to like bring some levity to the room that the three of us are in, we just listen to our own music.
Whoa.
Have some whiskey and ginger ale. It's better than group therapy.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. There's always like weird random songs that we'll find that will come up and we'll be like, oh yeah, let's rework this, or we're like searching for the next song and like what mood we're trying to like put out there or whatever. So it changes every time.
Yeah.
So
when you guys were like in the early days when it was just you two, like did you feel like you were like missing a piece? And then like when you found Nick, was it like that missing piece? Because you said like the stuff in the beginning, of course when everybody starts like they're not making their favorite stuff, but like do you feel like when you found Nick it was like a missing piece? And then like how did that kind of change your sound as you move forward?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like as far as like Nick was definitely a missing piece, and then when the three of us started releasing music and playing live, still felt like there was a missing piece, and I feel like that missing piece was just maturity.
Interesting.
Because then you start to get like through age we all kind of accumulated the tools to like discern what's good and what's not good, which I feel like we're a lot better at nowadays than we
like your
used to.
taste matured.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that was, I feel like the biggest glow up was just age.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah, because it was pretty, like we had been hanging out for like a year prior, but it wasn't like we were still like finding our sound, what we wanted to do with our voice, so like I think when it made sense and we were like, oh yeah, we're like a unit now, this is a band, it's like it definitely helped make everything feel more big picture and like make those bigger songs that like that we want to play in stadiums and shit like like that's I don't know,
just like sound more complete and sound more full.
Yeah
It's always interesting like as your taste changes over time too, and like I've talked to a lot of people who like their taste is not what they make, or like I don't remember who I wish I could remember who I was talking to this about, but I was talking to a musician recently and I think they were saying that like they hated like the early days because of the fact that like they were so consciously aware that they weren't making the stuff that they would listen to.
Yeah.
And like they wanted to get to a place where like their taste matched their skill,
Yeah. I feel like we I don't know, and this was probably like more of just an internal thing than anything, but we've like I don't know, we established, like we set up kind of a foundation, a blueprint for ourselves that has proved to just sort of be like a box over time.
What do you mean by a box?
Just as far as like the way that we view ourselves and how we feel we can make music as Belaganas, it always is like synonymous with like this kind of like juvenile punky aesthetic and stuff like that. So sometimes we get uncomfortable like talking about more mature themes in the music, and that's like, I think that's honestly just a product of like doing it for so long. And like Belaganas, the first time that most of our like fans and stuff had heard it was when we were those juvenile punky teens and stuff like that, and when most of Arizona had heard about us, like we were doing the whole like skate park photo shoot shit like that. But then like I'm had to was on the phone talking about taxes for like 2 hours the other day, 2 hours the day before, and then, like somebody's like, "Oh, you want to like go to a skate park and do a photo shoot?" And I'm like, "No, bro, want to fucking smoke a Cuban, watch The Sopranos or some shit."
That's beautiful. I get though that like that's very interesting. Like how there was like the old you, and then you kind of mature, and I would imagine it'd be very difficult too to like know that there's a fan base that you accumulated based on a version of you that was in the past.
Yeah, it's interesting because even though it's like, you know, when I say fan base, I'd say it with the most cognitive dissonance. It's like a microcosm of like, when, you know, a major artist or something like that. But
it's all relative.
Yeah,
though,
it's all relative, and especially like as a 16-year-old musician, as we started, like, getting that little bit of attention, getting just like the one person who would give you like a like fan art or you know, DM you, say something, like you just get that little bit of validation, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do everything for this.
Interesting.
You know?
Dude, and the weirder part too is that like those same fans have grown with us and like seen us do that shit and like see us where we are now, and like it's weird because it feels, I don't know, we've definitely made some like major accomplishments for sure, but at the same time we're all also still like, yo, like let's get this money, you know, like, let's make some shit happen, you know, like like we're still worried about paying rent and like whatever. Sometimes like it's just like funny to still kind of be in this like, I don't know, shithead 20s like kind of vibe. I don't know, but
you feel like you've done it forever.
But feel like we've been doing it forever, and also like we're still like making moves and shit too. It's an interesting feeling.
I really relate to that. Like I'm 22, but I started this when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like it is, and so you're 22. How old are you guys?
I'm 24.
24. Okay, interesting. And then so you started also when you were like 16, 15?
Yeah. We started Belaganas. I was like 15. I think he was 16 or 17 or something.
Gotcha. Have you like, this is an interesting question. I'm entirely projecting here. But has your relationship with it, like as you've grown up, have you gone through like the ebbs and flows of realizing that like you're too obsessed with it, and then like at other times like you're not obsessed enough, and then you have to like find the middle ground and make it make sense? I'm entirely projecting here, but I'm curious because
No, it's honestly like, I feel like just as creatives, when you project onto somebody else, there's like a pretty good chance that you're gonna hit the mark. We all share experiences and stuff. But I don't know, the band has its ebbs and flows and stuff like that, and usually it's like when there's like external progress, there's domestic harmony. You know? Whoa,
wait. Interesting. Explain that.
So, like, you know, when we have some, because we've been in a lot of holding cells our careers, and but when there are things happening in real life, like a tangible sort of progress, like a tangible success story, like, oh, we just got asked to go on tour, we're gonna have to get into tour mode and prep, or when we're out on the road and we're touring, there's this like domestic harmony, like none other.
Everyone's like, we're doing shit right
it's
now.
Those moments where we're sitting around and we're just getting like a call like every couple of weeks that's like, just keep waiting, guys, like big things coming, just like, keep grinding. Like we just start to like sit there and then just be like, did you take your laundry out of the washing machine? Like that
type of shit, because we're like roommates and we're like bandmates and we're like best friends too, so like we're constantly all like adjusting to those different roles, you know what I'm saying, in real time. And so, and then like then we get together and we make songs together too, so like it's so many, like where, you know, sometimes we're just like heavy emotions, or sometimes it's like, you know, we're just fucking around or whatever. So it's constantly a trip to all just be like bouncing around in that space, but it's really fun too.
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy, like, because I relate to you in the fact that like I'm also in my 20s and live with all artists, and like some of them I work with on varying levels, like Mario lives here, of course, we work very closely together, but it's like it's so strange, like balancing like we work together, but we're roommates, but we're also like incredibly close friends. So it's like like I would ask you guys, like,
Yeah.
do you know when to go to each other and be like, yo, let's record? And do you know when to go to each other and be like, yo, let's not record? Like,
Dude, I feel like the let's not record just happens a lot more naturally.
yeah.
And then the yo, let's record or like let's make some shit is like sometimes it feels like it has to be forced a little bit.
Interesting.
But that's just because like I don't know. I feel like we all have to like find our own groove with where we're at creatively or like get something that one of us needs to get something that like inspires them to be like, yo, this is what's going on.
Is that like how it'll happen? Like, will you guys get a spark and then run to each other and be like, yo, like, I did this. Like, let's work on this.
Yeah. Pretty
That's
much.
sick.
Yeah, start like sometimes we start producing just one of us in the room and then bring it to the other people in the form of like an open or something like that. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just kind of happens.
Yeah, it's such a crazy relationship, man. like living and working and being best friends with people is such like an intense thing, but like you just got to run with the ebbs and flows of it.
Yeah.
And you got to know that like I don't know, you know, people have emotions and things go and they ebb and flow, and it's like just because somebody doesn't want to like work on something one day doesn't mean they hate you, or like, you know, just 'cause someone's tired. It's like balancing that roommate / like best friend / like work relationship, and it can be a lot of times. Like I get it, but it's, you know, it's kind of the beautiful part about it.
I feel like it would be so much more simple if it was just the creation part of the creative process.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So like honestly, if all we had to do was just make music, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the complication comes from just like all the other parts of being a musician that aren't making music, and most of those have to do with like the climate of the industry being where it's at right now, and how reliant on like how, you know, short everybody's attention span as consumers and as musicians has gotten. And so like, you know, being content creators and, you know, sometimes our own agents, our own suits, like are, you know, it's
venue
a lot.
runners.
yeah, dude.
So if only it was just making music.
Yeah. No, I get that 100%. And it's so strange too. Like, I feel like now more than ever, musicians are not just musicians. It's also required that you're a part-time filmmaker, and it's also required that you're not just a vocalist or an instrumentalist, you're a producer as well. And it's also required that 95% of the time you're your own booking agent, and you're also your own manager a lot of the times. And you know, like, how have you guys kind of like, because I'm gonna assume things here, but like from the outside, like you guys, and I think a lot of this comes from like the basement shows, and like I've seen a bunch of video of you guys playing in like backyards and stuff. Like, it really feels like Belaganas is built on like DIY, like very DIY like aesthetic and culture and stuff.
Yeah, and it's a blessing and a curse because like, we hit our stride sometimes, but we're pretty like dog shit at content and stuff.
It's hard, dude.
It's hard, man.
Yeah, and it's, you know, we're fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of DIY artists, as well as a lot of artists who are able to do the internet thing right and still be themselves genuinely.
Yeah.
So it's like cool to look up to those kinds of artists and stuff like that. But also, like, you know, you see there is a lot of, I don't know, I feel like the whole TikTok generation has kind of bred a bit of a weird mindset in artists nowadays,
like making to be seen and not making to feel, you know what I mean?
Just making, like, I don't know, like making shit specifically for like an idea, not like there's also like good shit that comes out of that too,
of course.
you know? Like, there's always good shit that comes out of it. It's just a weird place to create from, I feel like.
I agree.
And but you know, fuck, that's how shit goes, you know.
I mean, I feel like with all the priority nowadays on being seen, and I don't even like blame artists or anything like that.
No.
But I feel like it's led artists to kind of dilute themselves and their personalities and stuff in order to make them more palatable to a broader audience.
Interesting. Either dilute or like play up.
Yeah, well,
you know,
that's, you know, that's what I always think, and I say this with the most self-awareness about my own areas of privilege and stuff like that, but you get a lot of artists, and a lot of these artists are like probably like white artists from like upper socioeconomic classes and stuff like that, and they're hyper aware just from being online of like the culture of like utilizing victimhood as currency. And so they reach in this kind of like marginalized identity grab bag for like an identity to align with.
Well, you said use. I'm sorry. You repeat.
No. Sorry. I mean, just in the sense of you can't, so you can't just be like, look at this song that I worked so hard on. I put my blood, I put my life into it, and I tried really hard. And this is such a good song. Listen to it. You have to be like, stop. This is for my ADHD girlies or something like that. Or you have to be like, stop. This is for my boys who have a terrible relationship with their father. Or I had a really hard year last year, like that.
It's like reaching for that misfortune. It's like trying to find it.
I'm not saying that like people from wherever I feel like music is one of the best ways to interpret and translate suffering, but it's when you just I don't know. I see some pretty ham-fisted and contrived stuff, and it just feels kind of gross.
Yeah,
nowadays.
I think I know what you mean. It's like people who are like trying to almost, I guess the right word would be like manufacture that.
Yeah, manufacture it.
Like manufacture that disfortune, or manufacture like a victimhood, which is like so weird.
Because
but
it's currency nowadays.
100%.
Which is so fucking scary.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, dude, that's a terrifying thought. But you're right.
And it's also affected lyric writing. And so the last quarter of my diatribe here, but it's affected.
No, keep going. Dude, these diatribes are what it's for.
It's
beautiful.
Affected lyric writing. I feel like, and. I for one, I love sad music. It doesn't matter what tax bracket you came from, but I feel like I don't know. I used to kind of like be able to lose myself in the prose and poetry of sad music, and like it used to make me think and romanticize these parts of myself through like putting myself in the shoes of the artist or something like that. But now a lot of this music, a lot of this kind of like manufactured music is. It reads more like diary entries than anything,
Interesting.
It's hyper literal, and I feel like people are starting to utilize like an exclusively online lexicon in their songs, and like use words like problematic or like situationship in their music and stuff like that. And I'm like, come on, I know your internal monologue doesn't actually sound like that,
Yeah.
I know. Come on, guys.
That's super fascinating. Do you think like as that continues, like how do we get to? Because I know what you mean, and it's like a weird thing to like verbalize. Because like I've had this thought a million times, but you just put it like masterfully. Like I know exactly what you mean by that. Do you think like as we move forward, how do we get to a place where like that is not incentivized? Because it is, right?
Yeah.
It's like how do we?
I'm not gonna be the one to do it.
Yeah, but like how do we not?
I just kind of want to get at this point. And this is probably the wrong mentality to have, but I feel like just being like bombarded by this culture left and right and stuff, it's kind of like pushed me into a place of like jaded individualism to where I'm like, I just want to get my bag and just like
Interesting.
I want sustainability in my life.
Yeah.
And like after that, like if the public eye is still as kind of like unforgiving as and mercenary as it always has been, then like I don't need the public eye.
Yeah, it's like I relate to that last part what you were saying. Like it's like leaving nothing to the listener. Mm-hmm. It's almost like arrogant. Like it's almost like assuming the listener is stupid. Mm-hmm. It's like if I don't lay things out in a black and white scenario and use those buzzwords like situationship and like problematic, like then the listener is not going to understand me.
I feel like I use music to escape. Like I don't want it to just sound like my For You page. Like put in headphones. That's
a very interesting concept too. Like being. I don't know if being forced is the right way, but like having to make music versus wanting to make music. Because I know 1,000% a lot of individuals in my life who have to make music, and not from some external management or suit or whatever, but they have to make music to survive, in the sense that like these people have dealt with hell, and like the only way that they can move forward is to like get this pain, like find a release for that pain, and the release they found is music.
And that's legitimate, and I think all three of us on our own and together use music that same way. I didn't
I think that's
yeah.
where the bitterness comes from
Yeah.
about this whole thing.
Yeah.
We're like, yo, like we're gonna die if we don't do this.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah.
like this is just whatever to you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting thought. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, fuck that shit. That's
No, I get that though. Like sometimes I question, I'm like, could I stop? And I was like, I don't know. Like, if I stopped doing Above the Bridge tomorrow, 85% of my thoughts would cease to exist, and that is a problem. That's like unhealthy on my part entirely.
yeah.
But like, I don't know if I could live without it.
Yeah.
Like, it is baked into my identity. It's who I am. It's what I do every single day. It's part of me. And maybe that's on me for not having like
No,
more
I mean-
external things and like finding ways in which like I derive happiness from the world that aren't entirely connected to my work. But it's really strange when like the thing that we're all trying to do, which is like work and, you know, art and creativity and be artists, that kind of takes obsession.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like when your wins and your losses are in front of the camera, you
Yeah.
never really stop being in front of the camera.
yeah.
You know, like it's just like, at least like even in your mind, you're kind of your own like voyeur. You know, thinking about like what people think and stuff, or like how this is gonna translate. You know,
Yeah.
if and when like, you know, you're on a scale to where people care what you eat for breakfast every morning and stuff. So.
Yeah. And like that shouldn't be the case, you know?
No, but it
Yeah.
is for me. And
For
it's
sure.
fucked up.
Yeah, no, 100%. Do you remember when you first got to a place where like you were actively aware that you were being perceived by like people either on the internet or like in person, and like how did you kind of like, are you still working through that, or how have you gotten to a place where you're more okay with it, or have you?
It's like ebbs and flows.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 It's weird every time like you get recognized or some shit for your music. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it happens I don't know, it doesn't happen that often. So
But not like the recognized thing, just like the perception thing. What do you
Oh
think?
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't mean it, but yeah, it's a wild world, Wild West out there.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just sort of, yeah, I think just like the ability, I don't know, people just love like watching train wrecks, I feel like, more so
100%,
than
yeah.
ever nowadays.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's less so the act of being perceived and more so like the act of being perceived by
And judged.
the kind of people that we have out in the world.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, especially on the pandemic, or like with the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
it had like driven everybody online, and, you know, kind of, we all digressed a couple years maturity wise and stuff. And yeah, people are scary, dude.
Yeah, I get it, man.
Especially
I get
like the younger you get, people just get scarier and scary. they're like I feel like the new generation, and I you know, I say this only as somebody like 22, but like the generation, my last year of schooling was right before the pandemic hit. I graduated high school in 2019.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like the disparity in like just how you think and perceive things, even like with people like 1, let alone 3, 4, 5 years younger than you, where the pandemic had affected like their primary schooling, is just like huge.
Yeah.
Like, those people are just like guerrilla soldiers.
Can you imagine being in fucking high school and just like can't, like, everything is just fucked up?
I will never forget, because I graduated 2020. I will never forget, like, my last day of school was a random Friday. Like,
jeez,
I never had a last day of school. And I don't think about it often, honestly, but I think 100% there is like this incredibly weird, like, internal part of me that feels like I'm just still running from high school because I never finished.
Yeah.
Like, there was just like a random Friday. I was in my stats class my senior year of high school. It was like halfway through the year, and it was the day before spring break. And they went on the loudspeaker. I will never forget this in my entire. I will never forget this. Like, I will tell my kids this story, but they went on the loudspeaker, and I remember them going like, "Hey, like, there's this pandemic that's happening. We're going to extend spring break an extra week to remain safe." And I remember everybody in the class started cheering. And that is the most dystopian memory like of my life, you know?
What the?
Some 1984.
Yeah, it's some weird. Yeah, everyone's living with some crazy shit right now, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like being driven online, especially the youth, the way that the pandemic drove them online and stuff, I feel like it's made them just more and more apathetic, and they've never really been able to shake that since. We've never really been able to shake it since.
Yeah.
Because, like...
I don't think I have. I mean, yeah.
Dude, I mean, there was a time where I feel like, and I'm talking interpersonal, like, but conflict, I feel like, exists or should exist in order to be solved, you know? But nobody wants to solve conflict anymore, because, like, unsolved conflict is how you garner attention.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to talk things through. Nobody wants to find, like, solutions for their problems with other people. They just want to do, like, story times and look every 20 seconds in the camera with, like, you know, like, it's crazy.
It's like sitting with yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Isn't that such a weird part of being an artist, though? Like, I don't, like, this is, like, I mean, I've been told about this. I don't relate to this, but, like, is it strange? Do you guys ever feel, like, weird about the fact that, like, so many of your problems, both externally and internally, become your art? Like my roommate talks about this a lot. Like, he always says, like, he'll joke about, like, he's like, yeah, I'm always in problematic relationships so I can write songs about them. Or he'll be like, I always try to get broken up with so I can write a song about it. Like, is that ever weird? Where, like, your deepest, darkest, like, most personal things are on display for the world, and, like, if you don't really put them on display, then you kind of fall back into that trap where you were talking about, where everything is, like, entirely surface level and not, like, you know, and not more than what it seems.
Dude, that's the weird, like, line you gotta walk, I feel like, because on one hand, I'm like, I'm gonna pour my heart and soul out into this, and I really, like, don't want to do that, and nobody gives a fuck. Like, then that, like, I'm gonna do it anyway, but that just, like, sucks. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh shit, well, now I'm pouring out my heart and soul, and everyone knows this about me, and now I'm overthinking it a little bit every time I'm, like, talking to someone who's, like, even if they, like, came to a show and they were stoked afterwards, like, I'll just be in my head, like, damn, like, they're really, like, this is their favorite song or whatever, and this is, like, about whatever.
Yeah, like a terrible point in my life.
Or, like, terrible point or whatever. So, yeah, it's just kind of back and forth between those two feelings all the time.
Yeah.
I think it like takes time to work through a lot of things to, like, make the songs we make also. You know, like,
Interesting.
I think that's part of, like, the ebb and flow of kind of our, I guess, writing habits. Like, sometimes we just won't do anything for 2 months, and then we do 20 songs in 2 weeks. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, we'll hit strides of, like, I don't know, you know, being comfortable in ourselves and enough to work out what it is we're trying to, you know, express through the music. And I think, like, that's kind of part of, like, just part of it is, like, the time it takes to make everything feel the way it's I don't know, make everything expressed in a way that feels right, I guess.
I feel like everybody always says that, like, you create the most kind of, like, poignant and meaningful stuff when you're at your lowest, but I feel like that's, like, at least in my case, is bullshit.
Interesting.
Because, like, when I'm at my lowest, like, when I'm, you know, when I'm at ground zero of, like, something traumatic or dramatic or anything in between happening, it's just like, I don't want to fucking make music.
It's not even in your mind.
No, I don't want any kind of, like, movie moment where I just, like, rip a journal off the wall and I'm like, my tears are staining the page. Fuck that. I want to fucking lay in bed all day and, I don't know, drink.
Sit on it for a month, maybe write about it.
I feel like the best art is, like, in that period right after you're at your lowest, where you have enough, where you're kind of on the upward, and you have enough cognizance and enough hindsight in order to take things for what they are and what they were and stuff.
Interesting, because, like, the bad experiences, you never are thinking about honestly or objectively in the moment. It's impossible to. You're in them. You're living them.
Yeah.
You know? But I agree. And it's almost like the most honest representation of that bad situation is you after it.
Yeah.
You know, because you can like look back at it and kind of like
your response denominates like, you know, it's how you respond to something.
Yeah.
It's not what happens to you.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that goes about anything too.
Yeah.
Like I think life is just like a series of us responding to conflicts.
Yeah.
Like conflicts are inevitable. They rise in everybody's life regardless of how you grew up, where you grew up, who you are, or like anything. And it's just like I feel like we have to respond to the conflicts, right? You can't just like you can like say you leave conflicts unresolved, but I don't really know if that can happen, because I feel like if a conflict exists in your life, if like you know, like leaving it unresolved in itself is a response.
Yeah.
It's like that is like almost running away from the issue, and that in itself is a response of sorts. But it's like all our emotions are really just made up of like how we respond to these issues, you know?
Yeah. It is scary though, because you know, like I was saying before, people are kind of like wired genuinely not to want to solve conflicts
for sure
nowadays, because there's no salaciousness in that. There's no gratification.
It's fucking hard. Like sitting down with your I had a moment recently where I feel like I often like put on a facade as if like I'm very self-aware, or like overcompensate for my intelligence by using like big words and like fucking just like acting like I'm like, yeah, like I know myself so well.
I was saying, I'm doing it this whole interview.
No, you're not, dude, you're good. But then it's like something will happen and like you'll be brought down to earth and realize like this happened to me recently, and I was like, I just don't really know myself that well at all, because it's like I feel like I knew myself 2 years ago. Like after the pandemic, and I was actively checking in with myself and like taking times to like put the effort into like say like, okay, I'm gonna go outside and just journal today, or I'm gonna sit with myself today and just think. I feel like then I knew myself really well. And I think in the past year and a half, 2 years, I've moved to LA and pursued all this stuff harder than I ever have, which is awesome. It's been great and a blessing, but like simultaneously I don't feel like I know myself as well anymore. And it's like I feel like knowing yourself is a every single day battle, right? Because it's like you can do the work 6 months ago, that's fine. You knew who you were 6 months ago. You have to sit down and do the work today to know who you are today, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
I think that's it's like the hardest part of switching between those different roles we all have to play, like within the band or just like in general creatively, like switching between like figuring, or like director and like video editor of whatever this thing is you're doing and for your song you made, and then going back to writing a song and like whatever, you know, just whatever hats you gotta wear to get the point across that you're trying to portray, you know, or like trying to convey. I feel like that's what makes shit the trickiest.
Yeah, for sure. It's like wearing all those hats, figuring it out.
Yeah.
When you guys, so when you were in Arizona, how did you two meet, and then how did you all three meet, like collectively?
That was a good pivot.
we had mutual friends doing theater together.
Oh, okay.
we actually only did like one show, but we never like, we just like all hung out with the same friends.
Was it just one?
It was just one, I'm pretty sure.
It's crazy. American Idiot.
Yeah, the Green Day.
The Green Day, bud?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, which is, they're big inspos for us too, but.
Sick.
Yeah, we were just like making rap songs and shit. Like it was.
Well, Joey was already a rapper.
Yeah.
Sick, okay.
I had like songs I had made when I was like a really like 12, 13 years old. Just like terrible songs. And then, I showed him some songs one day, and
I was fucking stoked.
And we were like, then we started making songs. We were like, yo, these are crazy. And we threw a show, and it, like, we brought a good amount of people. I don't know. It was pretty packed for like a first show ever. And then
who were those people? Like, why did they come? How did they know you?
They were just homies.
Yeah,
like
cool.
School friends of school friends and stuff.
Sick.
And then like weird, like fans that we got. And I don't even know how we got.
Interesting.
Like, fans and stuff like that. And that, you know, that's part of that. Like, you know, you get such this kind of like odd and unnatural form of validation so young and stuff. You're just, it all crosses all your wires and shit.
Yeah.
We were
For
like,
sure.
yo, we can do this shit. And then
And then you realized how hard it was. Yeah.
we started throwing shows. We're like, okay, we're getting into the grind of this. And
Were these backyard shows, or where were you throwing them?
no, we had at our first show we met this dude who was like a promoter, and he helped get us a bunch of shows, and he was like kind of managing us at first.
Sick.
And there was like all shows opening for other like pop punk artists and shit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
At
The first
time.
show was Rebel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know what the second. What was the second one?
The
You
second,
guys, because was my first show your second show? Or like
I think
whatever.
it was like our
third.
Or
Yeah.
we did like a mini
like
thing
something.
with
You guys-
someone.
we was
And
so
when-
weird, dude. We had we played like our first show in December. We got this weird like one-off like tour thing where it was like 2 shows back to back.
Mm-hmm.
They were
We
like
came to
Here.
Encino, I'm pretty sure.
Yo.
And
Yeah.
then immediately after that, so it must have been like our 3rd or 4th show. Me and Nick went to high school together.
Yeah.
He was 2 grades above me.
And then you just brought him in.
Yeah.
Sick.
And then, yeah.
he showed me like an Instagram video of Nick playing, and he was like, "Yo, this
Whoa.
guy
real.
should
Yeah.
drum for us."
You guys hit me up, I think, 2 days before the show. And, it was
Learn
like-
all of our songs.
Yeah, it was like 8 songs or something.
Yeah, it was a full
I still have that set list
30-minute
somewhere.
set.
Sick.
But yeah, so I just learned it, and then we did like 2 or 3, and then I think after those, you guys were just like, "Yo, we should get more serious about this." You know?
Damn.
Not like that, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because we met Austin the same night
Uh-huh.
too,
Yeah.
and the first show that he played, and we were after that, like basically when we were like, oh yeah, Nick should like make this a band, like, and we were just starting to write songs with Austin too.
Mhm. Gotcha.
So it was like it all kind of like lined up at the same time, and it was just like that was the team.
People in theater doing rap was not like the origin
That's
story
the
I expected.
fucking
That's
thing,
so
dude.
cool,
Yeah.
dude.
It was, oh God, but it was like
That's so
theater,
sick, though.
Theater rap when we first started, and I was like, I don't even blame. I don't even like blame my 15-year-old haters and stuff like that. They were
I
onto
was
something.
like, you guys are
honestly.
right about that.
Yeah, y'all snapped with that one thing, and the one thing was disliking us.
Y'all snapped.
Hey, if we didn't get bullied a little bit though, like it would, then we wouldn't have figured it out.
I mean, that's part of like finding who you are as an artist, though.
Yeah.
Not getting bullied, but like figuring out your
gotta
sound.
suck for a
yeah,
while.
yeah, 100%, dude. I think the people who like, I genuinely believe this. I think most people who like try something, they're instantly kind of good at it. They never grind hard enough to get really good at it.
Yeah.
I think like the great people in anything are always the ones that aren't good in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know.
I
So
agree.
you're kind of throwing those shows in the beginning. You meet Nick. Then when do you guys start to like take this seriously? Like when do you realize like this is what you want to do?
I think as I was graduating high school, I made the decision not to go to college. And that was right about when we had met our current management, who's been really good to us. And that was like mid to late 2019. We all started to kind of put our heads down.
We had also been playing like a bunch of shows that past year,
Yeah.
but that was definitely like a huge like kind of check mark for me, because I was like, sitting around for 2 years,
Yeah.
already graduated, doing this, but yeah.
What were you doing at that time? Like,
I was working at UPS. I just I've jumped through a bunch of jobs, Safeway, Deli, I don't know,
Yeah.
but
They had moved
we
into my folks' house.
we all
halfway
moved.
through 2019. That was like the same time too.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Oh, they had moved into my folks' house, my parents' house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was when we first like started taking it seriously. And then let's see, that first year, we played a show at Moroccan Lounge with our management. They kind of helped us set that up for like the first thing we ever did with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then shit just started picking up. We were just like putting a bunch of music out, like doing our own music videos, like figuring it all out in real time. And we moved into Shanker's place.
Because we've been living together for almost 5.
Almost.
Yeah,
This will be the
that's
5th
fucking
year.
crazy.
Damn.
That is-
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, so since you guys were like, how old?
Since I was turning 19, I think.
Since
Maybe?
no, since I had
Or no, I was
no,
already.
since I had just turned 18,
You
so
just
like
turned
4 years.
No.
This is going on our 5th.
Coming on
probably.
5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But so we lived together with my folks for a year, and then
That's wild.
right after that we all moved into a big house in Tempe, right next to like kind of ASU land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we moved in with 2 other creatives who had been helping the band at the time, and then did that for like 2 or 3 years, and then moved out here, and this is our 2nd year out here.
Bro, you guys must know each other scary well.
Yeah, dude.
I think it's like it plays into when we like bring ideas to each other too and stuff, and just how music is made, because like I don't know, we all know when someone's just busy, you know, just
Yeah.
so we'll just be like, I'll wait, and then once we're all together, it's like, okay, hey, there's this thing.
Yo, I got this, or like I got this.
And
we
then
should do this.
I don't know where you got like 3 instrumentals flying around for a few weeks. And
Yeah.
And it like we're like, I know like obviously we're best friends or whatever, but like we're not even friends. We're just brothers.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing. And so like we behave with each other as if we'd grown up with each other, because we have.
You have,
in
yeah.
a lot of ways. So it's like.
Yeah.
And we're basically like an old married throuple.
Dude, but tour is always the best time ever, dude. Like,
Yeah.
we'll have bumps and shit, of course, but like we're all like on cloud 9 when we're on tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that external progress, like
Yeah.
just something that we can see and hold. That's like
Wow.
proof that we're actually doing something.
Have you ever read the book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel?
No, oh God, you just talk about Peter Thiel, and that's crazy.
What?
But I haven't read 0 to 1. No.
What?
Oh no. What's 0 to 1 about?
Oh, it's well, like one of the concepts in the book is like that concept of like vertical to horizontal growth.
Oh really?
And they talk about how like growing vertically is like taking something and then kind of like reinventing it. And like for example, like the example they use in the book is like I think it's like they say like Indian food or something, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you make like an Indian food restaurant in like a city that has like a bunch of like Indian food restaurants, then you're kind of, and like there's nothing new about it, the price isn't different, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of just like horizontal growth. It's just kind of like contributing to like
It's a lateral move.
Yeah, exactly. It's contributing to things that like already exist. Whereas like vertical growth is like if you like took that Indian food and you like, you know, changed it in some way, or like you added something new to it. It's like that concept of like moving forward versus moving sideways. You know?
It's 0 to 1, you said?
0 to 1.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
It's a good book.
Yeah, bro. That's like, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about our past year that we've been here, and just like all the shit we've been cooking on and doing, and like throwing, like setting up the venue and throwing shows out of the house, and just like, I don't know, signing to this little label that we're on right now, and just like getting shit popping again, you know, like putting music out in a new way. Cause yeah, bro, sometimes it feels like we're not doing anything. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, you know? And then all of a sudden, like shit's just popping.
Yeah. When you guys first got like management and then signed, was it like because you came from such like a DIY background? Was it like, were you apprehensive at all? Like, was it nerve wracking? Like, how did you kind of find the people that you're working with at the moment?
I mean, in some way, shape, or form, we've always kind of had management. We've always had like somebody sort of have, and this is gonna sound bad, and I don't really mean I don't really mean this in like a user's way or anything like that, you know, sometimes, but it goes ebbs and flows, but like there's always been somebody that kind of has like control.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, not in a bad way, but
just like it, like
the
advice
stability.
to give. Yeah, and like they'll take on the heavy load of whatever we need, you know, when we need it. And but yeah, a lot of it is just like, I don't know, just like helping us contextualize our music and like look at shit from a big picture.
Yeah.
Like how are we gonna put this out in a way that it makes sense, or like it says what we want, or
Yeah.
you know. That's
really cool, I think, when like with the management side of things, like it does help in like any fashion on the creative, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. Like I always think the best managers are people who like either were artists themselves or like really understand like what it means to be an artist, you know.
Yeah, and because like of the complex nature of our relationship towards each other, and you know, therefore the complex relationship that we have with the music that we produce together.
Yeah.
I feel like it's essential to have a third party.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
for
somebody
sure.
who wasn't in the room when you were making the song. Like
Yeah.
sometimes that's the
Yeah.
only way we know that like something isn't like dog shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's like how it's supposed to be though. You know,
Yeah.
like that's an interesting thought. But it's like when you, it's almost like is your brother gonna tell you? Well, I was gonna say, is your brother gonna tell you the truth about something that like you play them, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, on one hand, I want to say like yes, like
Yeah.
more so than anybody
Yeah.
else. But on the other hand, it's like you guys have grown up with each other and like have found things that you all love together sound wise, and you know,
Yeah.
I imagine like bounce ideas off each other so much to the point where it's like you know who's gonna like what.
Yeah.
So it's like I think having that like third party, you're right, it would definitely like take it to a place where like there's a perspective that isn't convoluted by the experience you guys have
Yeah.
with each other, you know?
Definitely, because like whether we like it or not, everything we do is convoluted by the experience
Yeah.
we have together.
For sure, yeah.
Like, everything, even as like cooking dinner, you know, convoluted by the past 6 years.
Yeah. It's just how it is. There's no way
Yeah,
around it. And you
yeah.
know, it's good nor bad, just how it is.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember like after that period when I wonder if it was when you moved out here or like when it was when you kind of first realized that like you were gaining traction, like finding some more success, like when did it kind of start to feel real?
It was probably before we moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's another
Well-
ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I don't know, there's like certain shows or whatever that might mean a lot, like and then also like tours. Also, we've gone on tour a couple times, but you know,
Just like
it's,
checkpoints.
it's also not often enough for you to like kind of be staying at the high.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
yeah, I don't know. It kind of comes and goes, but I think maybe like the first year living in the Tempe house together.
Yeah.
Is that when we went to New York? I don't know. We had
I think that was before.
Okay.
That was the year before.
It was the year before. SOBs.
Yeah.
That was kind of a
was a moment.
important moment, I think, for me, kind of.
What's SOBs?
Just a,
Sounds of Results of Venue.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It was our first time going to New York together, basically.
Oh, sick.
yeah, kind of just like flying out for a show was
Yeah.
really important for us to just, I think,
Mhm.
or I guess for me at the time to just be like, okay, yeah, like
It was like, this
We
shit
can-
is for real.
we can do this if we just keep building up, you know. But yeah, it does just ebb and flow with like schedules and stuff like that. So
Mm.
I don't know.
There's usually like one or two things a year that are like, oh shit, this is making movement.
This is
you know,
bigger.
for
Yeah,
us.
this
Yeah.
is better. Like,
Interesting.
So
Yeah. And we know it's a good year when it happens more than those one or two times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
hoodie tour was huge for us too.
Yeah.
You guys were with a hoodie on, right?
Yeah.
Sick.
That was.
Was that the first like really big national tour you guys have been on?
Yeah.
What was that like in the beginning? Like, did your expectation match the reality? And like, how was the adjustment to living on the road?
Dude, it was sick as fuck. Honestly, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you dream about it so much, and then once it happens,
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm so like overstimulated that all I can do is just like take it, and it was awesome though. Definitely what I expected it to be and more.
Like I feel like on tour you kind of push yourself to the physical limit,
Wow.
and you treat your body in like inhuman ways, but in some like capacity the adrenaline just like pushes you forward through it all, like for an entire month or like 2 months or anything. Like, you know, you sleep 3 hours a night, drive 7 hours a day, you eat like
Yeah.
shit, you know, you're probably drinking more than you should, and
But you're
But-
so happy.
yeah, for some reason, just like being able to play the show and being able to play with, you know, not empty shows. It's
Yeah.
just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I would imagine it's like crazy perspective wise coming from like playing shows that obviously weren't like that, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, did you guys have a moment on tour or like a realization where you just kind of like took a step back or like, wow, like these rooms versus what we were playing? It's just
Yeah.
like, I'm sure that's
Oh,
crazy.
dude. I mean, the very last show we played was like 1,400
Damn.
people or something like that.
on the National New York.
Yeah, we had only done that once in Arizona, and it wasn't even that big, I don't think. But yeah, that shit was crazy. It was like damn, we really are out here doing this, you know, off of rap music. Like, yeah, that, and I don't know, getting the Kneecap tour this last year too. Like,
they're cool.
That was super dope. Just, I feel like there's so many, because our shit is so, like, many genres, like, so crazy sounding. There's something for everyone in there. Like, we can tour with so many different kinds of artists too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just feel like,
damn, that's sick.
We've like had such a good rapport, like going on tour with artists. It's been like everyone always is just like, yeah, you guys are crazy. Like, everyone loves you guys.
Really fortunate with like how cool Hoodie was and how cool all the Kneecap boys and stuff like that were. That also like has, you know, it was funny, like us as kind of like DIY artists or something like that. I feel like because of that, and just because that's kind of how our collective artist brain works, live shows are the most important thing to us, and it's the most important thing to, I feel like, people who, you know, even are aware of our presence as a band. And that's kind of like what separate, like, the disparity between us and, you know, it's like the converse. Some artists very, very good at the internet, and I can't knock that, but like, you know,
they can't play live.
They can't play live. They can't really draw people live. We can always, you know, fall back on the fact that like there is a live and like real in-person element that like people nationwide have connected to in real time.
It's also like an interesting discrepancy between like having followers and having fans. Like there's so many artists who like are so viral facing that like they have found a way to accumulate these absent numbers that really mean nothing, but then like, you know, the absent numbers are awesome, they're cool visual things, but it's like they will make you no money. It just like the matter of fact, it's like if you cannot draw people to a room, like in this industry, it's very, very, very difficult to make money, and you have to find a very creative way to do so if you're not willing to like.
Conversely too, it's kind of a catch-22. If you can't, you know, you can't get a deal unless you have some sort of natural leverage.
For sure.
And that comes with being able to know how to package yourself to like the masses. But
it makes me curious, like how one would like you guys, for example, or like another band that like, let's say like so much of their fan base was like in person through live shows. That was like such an important part of their front-facing brand. I wonder how you would leverage that in a situation with a label. Like I wonder, like
it's hard to.
I'm sure it's hard because they could just. There's so many ways they could just throw it out. Either not valid ways, but just like it'd be very easy for them to just disregard it. You know.
Yeah. All of our connections that we've made have all been through people who have seen us live.
Makes sense.
Which is like undeniable in a lot of ways. But you know, I do. There is an instant gratification with being good at the internet, which I'm jealous of. Sometimes.
I get it. The internet is like it's almost like it's so inhuman. Like it's so strange to like. I'm kind of the same way. Like I definitely have not figured out the way to crack the code. Like I feel like I didn't crack the code until we started throwing shows, which is. All right, we're back. The power went out. We were talking. Whoa, that just got so close to the mic. That was crazy. We were talking about like basement stuff though, and living together, and then kind of on that own note, I was curious, Joey. I saw in your bio Falling Up Media, and I was curious about like what that is, because I saw that you guys had also like released something under it. Whoa. Oh, that's sick. What's that? Tell me about that.
It's Falling Up. That's the media.
That's so basically long term we want to turn this partnership we have with our management into like basically like a huge production house kind of thing that not necessarily like functions like a label, but like is almost just like a management, like a resources. We manage resources for artists to use and like basically connect dots.
It's also the name of the song that we released.
Yeah. And we named the company after that, and because we want to do a lot more shit than just music. Like
I think that's the name of our LLC too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
where I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that's like one thing we're cooking on underneath it all too.
That's sick. So almost like
At all
providing.
times.
Is it part of it like providing artists the resources that you wish you had when you were kind of coming up?
For sure.
That's sick.
And yeah, and like that was another thing that I thought I was thinking about the venue today and being like, damn, it's cool that we're doing this, because like we had our own versions of that in Phoenix, but it wasn't
Yeah.
really like the same as what we're getting to do right now, I feel like.
Ethan, could you move that bottle? I think the focus
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
catch it. My
Sorry.
bad. Sorry.
No, my
I hella put it there. That's super sick though. I remember like, dude, all the spots in the Bay Area that are adjacent to that,
Yeah.
my favorite places in the world. There's this deli in the Bay Area called Stay Gold Deli,
Oh,
and it's like a deli, but they throw punk shows.
that's
And
what's-
it's
awesome.
so sick, bro. And it's
Pizza
got
joint right outside our house does that too.
what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
In their
crazy.
parking lot, they have like a stage set up.
We have yet to
Isn't-
play though.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys gotta play it.
We have to.
That'd be sick. Dude, there's like, it is so weird how like, cause I assume you guys didn't have this like growing up either, but it's so weird how in LA there's just like so many venues like you don't know about, and they just
Yeah.
exist and they're everywhere, bro. Like I swear to God, I knew every single venue in the Bay Area, like, or at least like close to. And it's so weird that like this entire city is just made up of venues. Like
Yeah.
they're everywhere. And if it's just like a, you know, like so many normal random businesses just throw shows just to do it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very like LA coded thing. I feel like
Yeah.
that's why people don't take the venues as seriously, because it's like you
Yeah.
never really know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Whereas like a house show is like, oh, you can always expect it to be like a house show.
Yeah.
You know, and anything above that is like, oh, this is sick. Like
Mhm.
It kind of like goes parallel with just the fact that like, you know, anybody could tell you they're an artist or a DJ, and it just kind of means nothing to you out here. Whereas like,
Yeah.
I'm sure if, you know, you grew up in the Midwest or something like that, you'd be like, oh shit, you know?
Oh shit, you're an
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, that is so true. I never really thought about that. It's almost like the default. Like default skin is artist here.
Yeah, oh, it's
Yeah.
such a fucking oversaturated market, man.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. It's dude, you almost got him. It's kind of scary, like to think about that in like a. Well, it's scary and it's not, because it's like everybody's an artist, but like even the like I worked like before I got out of restaurants and was doing like creative stuff full time. I worked at Benihana for the first year that I lived here.
Oh, that rocks.
Damn.
Oh yeah.
Or does it not?
Nah. The food's good.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
it's nice going there.
Yeah, definitely. I'd never been there before I worked there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fucking now you can never go back.
Yeah, dude.
Honestly, I feel like it's the only restaurant that I've worked at that I can go back to.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, because like it was definitely the best restaurant I've worked at for sure.
Yeah.
Like best money, probably the easiest, the coolest coworkers for sure. I worked at some shitty restaurants, bro.
Were you throwing like the shrimp and stuff?
Oh no, I didn't do
Shrimp
that. Yeah, those were like so. Those are the Teflon chefs. I did like everything but that. I was just
Oh,
like a
nice.
server, so I like brought them all the food and took all the orders and stuff.
Mhm.
Everybody asked that when I say I worked at Benihana. It's like, oh, were you throwing the shrimp or doing the volcanoes?
Doing the
That's
heartbeat.
funny.
Yeah, yeah. But when I worked, what was this thing? Oh yeah, but yeah, when I worked there, I realized that very quickly. It was like it was like half the people I worked with, like, oh, like I also rap on the side, or I also produce on the side, or I also do this on the side, and it made me think a lot about like just how easy it is to get stuck,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and how grateful I am like I got out, and just like how much of a privilege that is really, because it's like, bro, there are. I imagine in LA, like, I wonder what % of the workforce is made up of people who were trying to make it in art and then just, like, ended up doing other things to pay rent, you know, and kind
Yeah.
of just phased out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that, and also like conversely, how easy it is to be an artist nowadays. Too.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like the, you know, I went on my whole sort of bitter thing about people and young people especially, but there's one more layer to that fucking cake. It's artists.
Yeah.
It's not only are these people psycho young, chronically online, they're artists too.
Yeah.
Which means that they feel as though they have a personal brand to protect, and they bring that to every interaction they have with you.
Interesting.
So I'm like
every single random conversation or like,
yeah.
yeah. That is, oh, dude, that's always been so weird to me. Like, that like that reared its head more than ever when I moved to LA.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call you like Skizzy, bro. You're a white dude from Minnesota.
Like, well, you're not gonna call me Lil Skiz?
Yeah,
Like,
but those people are the same people, and just you know, and because of how accessible the internet has become, everybody feels as though they have their own personal brand and image to protect, and it affects the way that they treat other people, and you know, negatively.
Just like in general, it's just like those. Yeah, I don't know. You just go to places and you're like, oh, this is a weird vibe here.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like doesn't know who they are a little bit, you know.
Yeah, and those are like your fair weather friends and shit like that. You gotta like. I'm thankful enough to be surrounded by some artists out here who I consider like some of my best friends, and like I know them as people first and not as artists first.
Yeah.
But like artists are fucking mercenary. They'll clean their hands of you as soon as it's convenient to do so, you know, because they see you as something that, you know, they could be.
Yeah, 100%. I think when I first moved here, I was very weary of making friends, and almost to a fault. Like, I think when I moved here, I felt like if I went and actively tried to like pursue friendships, I would be looked at as like, you know, like social climbing, or as if I was like trying to like be somebody, you know, to, you know, be friends with someone for like whatever that, you know, might provide my career or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I got in this mindset eventually when I grew out of that, where I realized if you lead with genuineness and you first and foremost, like you 100% know your intentions and like are okay with them and are aware of them and can consciously like list what they are, I think then anybody else perceiving it wrong can be, you know, on them. I think like I was just like that mentality, I think kept me from making any friends when I moved here, you know.
But also, you know, it is who you know out here can make or break you.
100%, dude.
And so it's
totally
important to keep that in the back of your mind. But I feel like just, you know, if you're gonna network, do it in a manner that's genuine and respectful.
Yeah.
Like, I think it all just boils down, like all of this stuff that I've been critical of. It's not, the problem is, it's not that you're doing it. The problem is that you're being cringe when you're doing it.
Yeah.
So just like fucking be normal.
I feel like
normal person.
and there's like the normality to it, but there's also like the honesty to it, I feel like, as well.
Yeah.
Like I think like if you are like, I don't know, this isn't me. I always kind of just try to make friends, and then whatever happens, you know, whatever happens. But I will say, if you do like meet somebody and your intention for that interaction, that relationship is a business one, you need to explicitly state that it is strictly a business one, and like there is no other intention there, and that in itself is kind of weird.
Like, hey, so great to meet you. I'm really not interested in being friends. I really
that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's very true. I don't know how you would like walk back, I guess. Yeah, that is true.
You know, just only hang out in a creative capacity. Or a business capacity. Don't you know, don't grab a drink with somebody who you're never gonna grab a drink with as soon as you hop on their song or something.
Yeah. That's so weird, man. That was such an LA thing to like begin to understand as well.
I'm cool with having like business friends, but it's just like, you know, if you want to be a business friend, just like send me an open, you know, don't have me block off a whole afternoon. I could be Uber Eats driving or something.
Or I could be hanging with a real friend.
Yeah.
100%. I think it's so easy though to like read that right off the rip, dude.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you know within like a couple minutes like what somebody's intentions are, what they're like, who they, I mean not like deeply, but like, you know, at least on a surface level, I think it's very easy to see that out here, and I think like moving here gave me a super good filter for that.
Yeah.
Like it becomes very, very obvious who actually wants to be your friend and who doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
For real, man.
So speaking on like, so there was the Hoodie Allen tour and then the more recent tour that you guys went on.
Yeah.
What was the experience going your second tour like versus your first? Do you feel like you understood like the lifestyle and how to adapt to it better? Like, do you feel like you just understood like how do you think you've grown as a performer since that first tour?
I'll let you guys go first.
No, I think it's maybe like the hard parts of it are a bit easier because we've been through it before.
Yeah.
Just so like, I don't know, you kind of know that, you know
what to expect.
Yeah, you just know what to expect. So even if it's tough, it's just like, this is what I want to be doing, and like I know that this is just a step for next time when it's gonna be better in this little way, you know, like like some of the first times we were traveling, it was just, you know, we would stay anywhere we could that was either free or whatever, but so yeah, even like the second time around or whatever, like being able to get hotels or something, like yeah, I start to appreciate like the little wins and stuff like that, or even just plan better just because you're more acclimated to like what tour mode is together, kind of.
I feel like we all really learned how to rally too before a show. Like if we're feeling like shit or something, or like something's off or whatever, we didn't get enough sleep or we didn't get to eat or whatever. Like,
accommodating for each other when someone has a rough day. Being like, all right, well, if then you take a nap for these, you know, for these 2 hours after sound check because we're not doing anything.
You get the bed tonight, I'll sleep on the floor.
Like, that's everything. Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful.
We do draw straws though before we because
you actually draw straws?
Like a generator.
Because like most of the time we'll be squeezing 5 of us in a room and we'll be like sneaking around the hotel people because we're not supposed to have that many. And so like, and then we have to figure out, like, we've gotten smart, we'll bring like an air mattress or something so whoever's on the floor isn't dying. But
kneecap is awesome. That shit was crazy. I'm not sure how much you know about them, but they're
not much at all.
They're they're an Irish group. They're very politically oriented with their music, and they stand for something. It's awesome. They're 2 rappers and then a DJ as well.
Cool.
And
oh wow, it's like a similar orientation. That's really cool.
And so we were, I feel like the main difference, we were taken a little bit differently by their crowd as we were Hoodie's crowd.
In what way?
Just not in a positive or negative way. Just in Hoodie's crowd was there for they were there because they liked a certain genre of music, and but the kneecap crowd really was there for the politics
message.
For the message. Which is awesome, and it was beautiful to see like how well they connected with their crowd. But we were definitely, there were moments where we felt like we were fish out of water because they had to educate us on a lot of like Irish history and politics and their ongoing like English oppression and stuff like that.
I know nothing about that. Wow.
We knew nothing going on the road too.
We got learned.
It was wild, and so much of their audience they were actually friends with as well.
That's so cool.
It was crazy, like coming off a show and like some really old, like not even like middle-aged drunk Irish dude would come up to you and be like, you were all right, you know, like you did really good, and then he'd just give you like the full, like some history lesson on who he was and why he was there, and like, you know about these guys, and he'd go crazy about kneecap, and it's just like, it was dope. It was like, damn, like they're really fucking doing something.
How'd you guys meet them? How'd that happen?
That was connected through some people of ours knew some people of theirs.
Gotcha.
The Hoodie tour, he actually hit me up on Instagram.
Cool. That's really cool and personal. Wow.
Yeah.
He was like a fan and he just hit you guys up?
Yeah, we had like a limited interaction with him a couple of years prior in like 2019. And that never like amounted to us like really meeting in person or being able to talk or anything like that. And then he just hit us up randomly like 3 years later and was like, I'm going on a national tour in like 2 weeks. Do you guys want to open up?
Yo.
And we were like, fuck.
We were like,
cancel everything.
You cannot say no to that. In our place. And he's incredible too. He's such a sweet guy. And we every time he's in LA and our schedules line up, we link up and we have some tracks in the vault together too.
Cool.
Which is awesome.
That's so awesome. Yeah, that kneecap stuff's so interesting to me. I had a recent conversation with somebody who told me like they were talking about Pink Floyd and more specifically Roger Waters, and they said, I don't like Roger Waters' music anymore because it's too political. And I had this interesting like conversation with myself, and I was like, I think music's inherently political. I think like specifically like there's you can go genre for genre, but I feel like as it is, music is an inherently political art form. I feel like it's so difficult to get away from things that you care about in revolution and change, and like just historically, like so many genres of music are like inherently born out of like revolution.
Yeah, well, Roger Waters has had some hits and misses.
I don't really know like much about like his opinions.
His music is political, but I don't know if all of the politics,
like not in the right way.
Yeah,
yeah.
But no, I think music, a lot of music, especially hip hop, you know.
Totally.
Obviously, all of us are guests in that house. It's grew out of a, you know, political. It grew out of like a genuine mission statement.
100%. Yeah, hip hop didn't start as music; it started as a movement.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
which is like a very, very interesting thing. One of the only classes that I was in community college for 2 years, then I dropped out. One of the only classes that like really stuck with me was I took a history of hip hop class.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it was one of the only classes where like, cause I mean like at that point like I'd already like been working music and like I wanted to do this in my life. Like I obviously love rap music my whole life, but like sitting there and like learning history on like an academic level was incredibly interesting. And like my professor was like this guy who grew up in Harlem and was like very much like a student of not just the music but the culture and the movement, because hip hop in itself is not it's not simply music. Like there's a lot more that goes in the movement than just music. So learning about that and learning about like the forefathers and just different DJs and stuff in New York was so fascinating to me. It was like one of the only classes I ever took, because I'm respectfully I wasn't a great student, but like I think it was one of the only classes I ever took that really stuck with me and made me research more. Like I dug in 10 times more because of that class. It was fascinating.
Yeah, man. I feel like we're all like students of the game in some aspect, or like to what genre or whatever it is that we latch to. Like I think that's why we all were able to come together as a band, and like there's so many different influences, because like there's some shit that we really care about that we are fucking nerds about, you know, that like we know everything about, and it translates through our own music. And yeah, they all, the similar line is just that like all those genres like are all saying some shit with their chest, you know. And I guess that's kind of what we're doing in our own way.
That's beautiful. I think that is like what music is.
Yeah.
And I think it is crazy to think otherwise.
Yeah,
I think
it also highlights the importance of music that actually stands for something real.
100%.
That the artists actually believe in. That's why it's so refreshing to talk to Kneecap, because, you know, in an age where like putting your mission statement before your music is something trendy and something that you have to do, like it's nice to talk to people with an actual mission statement that they believe in.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just one that's convenient for them to garner likes and attention.
You know, like I think a good way to say it is like they didn't start and then find their mission statement. They found their mission statement and then they started. Like they found, like, which is, you know, seems like what everybody would do and should do, you know, but it's like you're right. Like there's so many people who just like they start this for what, you know, a whole myriad of reasons, but the why comes after.
I was, you know, it made me wonder for a little bit, like, what is our mission statement? Like, what the hell are we talking about? And I feel like more so than anything, it's just become like survival.
Wow.
Like, survival and like finding yourself in that, you know.
Yeah, kind of like we've all been forced into a position by the world, I feel like, where we have to be individualists. And we have to be like focused on self-preservation more so than anything. And like I feel like that's what we, you know, that kind of is translated into the music, because we're not really like in an age, especially in America, where counterculture is just another subgenre of content. We're not really like,
whoa, that was
like, if we had dedicated our whole image to like fighting a machine or something, it'd be kind of ham-fisted, you know. We just want to fucking survive. We want to live.
Yeah.
Can't lie about that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the newer stuff you guys are working on, the subject matter has gotten to a point where it's more focused and like you're finding that message of survival and like talking about it more and just stressing it?
It has its moments, but I feel like it'll really come out when we have the opportunity to create in more of a long form context.
Wow. Yeah.
Like
an album.
Yeah, when we have to operate, we have to kind of cater to the shorter attention spans because of the population, because people don't really listen to albums like they used to anymore, and like we would hate to release an album on deaf ears, and so we're using these kind of shorter form releases in order to garner more of an audience first, and then hit them over the head with a long form project. But I feel like as soon as we get out of that cycle and we're able to make like a 10 to 15 track album, like that'll be super refreshing because we'll be able to say what we want to say.
Yeah. It's like a full body of work, full focused body of work explaining one thing, or multiple things, but one story. Kind of on that note, my next question kind of leads into that. What do you guys think was like the hardest moment in terms of like your creative career so far? Like, and then how did you get out of that? How did you work past from it? Like on that message of survival, what do you think has been the most, I guess, troubling moment of survival?
Probably, I mean, it was the same time as everybody, but the fucking pandemic was like our biggest Achilles heel, like, because we couldn't play live, and that was like what we were best at.
We had some opportunities that were supposed to happen too that kind of got shut down because of that.
It was our first time living on our own, like with no supervision, basically, like all just in a big house together, like making shit, and then being so confused in that because we don't know what the fuck's going on. We're all dealing with our own personal shit at the time, and then on top of that, like we can't go anywhere or play live, and it felt like all the momentum we had built up was just like disappeared, basically.
We had like a year of just like a collective psychosis too.
Like
we were crazy people for like a solid like year to
I mean, I think that's what the pandemic was. It was like all of us, It was the weirdest time. Like, you guys ever think about like the weirder implications about that as the older we get? Like how there's generations that like will talk about that and learn about that in history books, and it was such a formative part of our lives as we grew up. It's so weird.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we were learning how to be
They still teach history.
What was that?
If they still teach history.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, dude, we were learning how to be like, fucking people, like fully functioning people. And in the middle of everything, just like being shook up, So like, yeah, I felt like that, and then like figuring out what to say, and like I said, like growing into people, but we were also living in that like world of like teenage angst or whatever that all our music was sounding like. And so it was just weird, just being like, where do we find what makes sense, and then what the fuck's gonna happen after we can go back outside,
Yeah, it was an incredibly weird time to try to begin something.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because like during that time period, like, I mean, and I assume you guys the same thing. It was like I'd been in what I was doing for a couple of years at that point, but it still felt like I was in the beginning.
Yeah.
It felt like you were beginning something. And in reality, we're all beginning our lives.
Right.
All in our 20s. Like, I guess we were both
like I was
18.
Yeah, I was 18.
18? You guys were 20?
My 19th birthday in a park 6 feet away from my friends.
Damn, that's crazy. Did I have I don't think I had a quarantine birthday because I don't think I did. Yeah. I think I was like, I think I was actually one of the only months that didn't have a quarantine birthday.
What's your birthday?
November 25th.
November. What does that make you, like a Scorpio?
Sagittarius.
Yeah.
So
you're a Scorpio though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a quarantine birthday.
How was it?
It was my 21st.
Oh,
it
dude.
was fucked. I couldn't go.
That's terrible.
I couldn't go anywhere. But I think we got drunk at the house.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I don't remember
Legally.
either.
For the first time ever.
No, first time ever I drank.
Crazy. And look at us now.
Yeah.
Look at us now. Irish whiskey.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, yeah.
That's what the
Speaking of,
pandemic
I'm gonna
did
have
to
just
us.
a tiny bit more.
You said speaking of.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
The Canada Dry too.
Yeah, I got you, bro.
Yeah, I feel like honestly though, like once we got through that shit and then we were able to go out and play music again, we made new fans. Like
Yeah.
that was the toughest challenge.
I'm okay right now.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, I think that, and then also the past year, nothing specifically about LA, but just kind of like
Getting
learning how
used to
life
it.
is out here. Yeah, it was
Interesting.
kind of like, I don't know, there wasn't any, defining hurdle, but yeah, like both work ethic wise, like raising that personal bar or whatever, and then also like socially, just I don't know, keeping up, and then financially also, I think just all that stuff was also kind of
learning curve.
learning
Yeah.
curves, and again a very formative time, and yeah, now like being where we are on the new year, I think we just already feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot
Yeah.
more in
Just
sync
being
with
here.
each other.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Last thing I want to ask you guys, if you had one message that you could spread through your music, I know that's a very difficult and all-encompassing question, but if you had one message that you think you could spread through your music to the listeners of your music, like when you're done or even right now, what do you think it would be?
Survive. Just stay alive.
Yeah, you just want to go around.
I don't know. Yeah, just don't give up, I guess. If things get
Yeah.
hard, just try to work through them.
Yeah, be yourself and don't quit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you want to quit when you don't know how to be yourself. I don't know. Something like that.
I don't know. Maybe like if you're giving so much thought to whether or not you're a bad person, you're probably not really a bad person, because like truly bad people don't think about how they're bad people.
Wow. You're right. That's interesting. It's like truly bad people don't even have that conscious.
Yeah.
So the fact you have a conscience means you're doing better than most in the first place.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you guys. That was like a really, really beautiful conversation. I think you guys are so sick, and like I love your music and love the way you're going, and very, very, very excited to see more. And I appreciate you coming on. This is such a cool conversation.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Tell them where they can find you if you're playing anywhere soon, where they can stream you, follow you, do all the things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say?
Oh yeah. Well, let's first we're playing San Diego this weekend.
Sick.
When does this come out?
Probably like a week and a half from now, 2 weeks from now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then we can
So-
say whatever we want.
Yeah. Don't worry about San Diego.
Don't worry about San Diego.
They did play San Diego.
We just rocked the house in San Diego.
We tore down the San Diego house.
We're do you want to announce it?
No, you can.
No.
It's fine.
We're gonna play South by Southwest, which is our first
Wow,
like festival
congrats.
thing.
Hell yeah.
So that's happening in the middle of March 13th,
Beautiful.
Austin, Texas.
Awesome.
Belaganas,
Find us on whatever.
biggest band in the world, best band in the
Biggest-
world.
Yeah, biggest fucking band.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. All right. Music matters.